everybody, welcome to episode 76, part 2 of Kenya's premier sports video podcast, the Three Quarters podcast. As usual, remember to jump onto the hashtag Road to Japan to support the Kenya Simbas as they are still looking to qualify for the Rugby World Cup in 2019 in Japan. I'm Demima Duffield.
And I'm Nara Kamuya.
So this week we start with Kenyan rugby history, and we talk about Mangu. Now this school, honestly, I found out about it like just the other day when we're driving to Thika, and I'm like, oh, and I wouldn't have found out if someone didn't point it out, honestly. But it has turned out quite a few big names, you know, and they're also good in rugby, you know. That's why we're featuring them. So what more do you have to add on to that?
Mangu High School is a school I know pretty well, of course, because of the rivalry that we had with my former high school. So it was started by Kenyan Roman Catholic. That's a Kenyan Roman Catholic high school in 1925. It's located in Thika, as you've said, and it was started by a man by the name Michael Joseph White. The rugby team is known as the Wazimba, and has represented Central Kenya a couple of times. In the years that I was in high school, they're the ones who went to the finals, went to the nationals in 2006, only losing out to a Nairobi school team that had the likes of Ken Musetti and Philip Omai. So the Wazimbas have represented Central a couple of times. They've won the Prescott Cup a couple of times, including that year I'm talking about 2006. In 2006, they also went ahead and won the East African schools title. So, as you said, it's churned out a couple of big rugby names. I think the ones I would like to mention first is Joel Nganga, Vincent Ongera, and Daniel Kipto for a very long time. Actually, somebody told me that they have been the front row right from Form 1 at Mangu High School to Kenya Harlequins, to Kenya, to the Kenya Simbas. Joel Nganga, of course, being the most capped player for Kenya, having played for Kenya, and former captain prior to Wilson Kupondo. He is now captain of the Kenya Simbas. So there's that group of guys. There is, I think of the late Geoffrey Gedaiga, who played at Strathmore. He's also an old boy of Mangu High School. I think about their famous class of 2006, the Kangede brothers, James and Joseph. Ian Chewaini was a good fly half. Eric Kyoko, who captained Kenya during the Under-20 JWRT in 2009. And the late Joshua Gadumbi, who featured for the Kenya Simbas and the Shujaa team as well. So, Mangu High School has been known to churn out some big rugby talent. And that's our school for this week. So we move on to the Kenya Simbas, and there's been reports that they're not training due to allowances. So this has been going on for like maybe 2 weeks. Training stalled, and they played a training game. I believe it was on Friday. Instead of going to South Africa where they were supposed to have gone for camp, they played a Greens versus Reds game. And that, I mean, honestly, I feel like we've talked about this. Over and over and over, and we just shouldn't be at a point where this is happening. Let me tell you what disappoints me the most is the fact that, yes, fine, it's not justified what they're doing to the Sevens team, that's the Kenya Rugby Union, and they're paid, the big hullabaloo that guys are talking about in terms of brand Kenya and everything, and people are making noise about the Kenya Sevens team. And when we make all this noise, we forget about what the 15th team is going through, which is worse than what the Sevens guys are going through. And you see, it's not even a strike per se. These guys were just being real. They said, look, we can't even afford to come for training. Some people can afford, some people cannot afford. So if they can't afford to come for training, then they won't come. And the union are just sitting down on their backsides. They want to give whatever excuses they're giving. They're giving threats to the Kenyan government in terms of
pulling out.
That's absolute nonsense. Like no one wants to sink in money into Kenya Rugby Union because of the rot that's there. Even corporate Kenya, you wish that they can come on board. SportPesa pulled out. Kenya Rugby Union are not going to say that it's because of tax. I was on a group chat where I was going to use a very bad word, but I was on a group chat where somebody was saying about, SportPesa pulled out because of tax. That's absolute nonsense, because they came back into football, but they pulled out of rugby. So the truth in the fact of the matter is that the Kenya Rugby Union is bungling this up. I'm even doubting that the technical bench has been paid to date. So when people go on social media and they're trying to make excuses for what the Kenya Rugby Union is doing, it's absolute nonsense. And the biggest stakeholders of this game of rugby is the players. If
you don't have the players, you don't have
the game. This union is there because of the players. The union is not there because of the directors and the secretariat. So it's nonsense, and this thing, look, we'll keep on talking about it because it needs to be exposed at some point, and the road needs to be exposed. But it's tiring. It's tiring that you can have people in 2018, you can have people sitting on those boards and thinking about their pockets and thinking about their stomachs and forgetting about the players.
Yep.
Yeah.
So now we move on to the fact that Kwese Sports will be airing the 2018 Rugby Africa Gold Cup.
Yeah.
And the impact that we expect it will have on Africa as a whole.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I'm just thinking visibility. I mean, that's the obvious one.
Yes.
People who wouldn't have seen the game will get to see the game. People who, you don't even have to be in Africa. You don't have to be in the country that the game is being played. You can watch this from abroad because it's on Facebook, it's on YouTube. I think this is very exciting and it's a very good move from them.
It's a very good move from Kwese. I like the fact that first it gives the visibility talking about to the game of rugby. Rugby is the fastest growing game on the continent. 15 years ago, only 6 nations had a union. As we speak now, 38 of the 53, 54 countries in Africa have a union. So that's a good move, and goes to show the work that World Rugby and Rugby Afrique, being the affiliates, are doing on the continent. So when Kwese comes on board and decides to televise this game and stream this game, it's very good for the game of rugby. I remember when I was watching over the weekend, and I saw the amount of people commenting from outside the continent.
Yes.
From outside the continent. I mean, some guys had some very choice words to say about the standard of rugby in Africa. But look,
you all start from somewhere.
You start from somewhere. And this is how the game is going to go when you have TV rights coming and exposure. That's when I know a couple of some players in Kenya have been able to get contracts outside Kenya because of the clips they've been able to get from Kwese Sports.
That is very true.
So it's good for the game. This is where the big money comes from in terms of sports. And Kwese, big up. You're doing a fantastic job. And at least 2 years ago, we couldn't watch Kenya playing in Namibia. Now we can.
Now we can, exactly. I mean, I'm imagining, just the habit. Like, it would just be something else, trying to analyze a game that you have not watched. So, you're there on the internet looking for, anything that you can find.
Yes.
So, this is definitely a move in the right direction. And let's hope that, we'll have lots more people coming on board to support rugby and, sports in general.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
So we move on to international rugby, where we're still on the July test. So we had New Zealand versus France, 26-13 in favor of New Zealand. Red card to one of the France players for very dangerous play. And a yellow card for New Zealand. So, haphazard game, discipline.
Yes.
But New Zealand taking that one.
Oh, it is a very, in terms of discipline, yes, it was an ill-disciplined game. But I have to commend France. When they went down to 14 men, everyone thought that now New Zealand were going to run riot. And actually, you would feel the crowd at the Westpac Stadium in Wellington. Everyone was kind of gutted that France were reduced to 14 men because then it reduces the competitive nature of the game.
Yes, very true. And you're playing against New Zealand. Exactly,
you're playing against New Zealand. And then also, New Zealand came kind of like put the foot off the gas pedal, and it was a very disappointing performance from a New Zealand fan, from a New Zealand standpoint. So 26-13 to New Zealand. Not the result I think most guys would be waiting to see.
So we also had Australia taking on Ireland, 21-26 in favor of Ireland. That was a very emotional game. I think quite a few fights broke out. Just showing you the physicality of the game and how emotions are like really raw.
But look, Ireland showing that they're the form team in the north, and despite people talking a lot of trash last week when they lost to Australia, it's good to see that Ireland are back and they beat the Aussies in Australia. So congratulations to Ireland. I think it was a very complete performance from Ireland. Also a couple of yellow cards in that game. It's a good performance by Ireland, and congratulations to Ireland.
Then we had the next one. I'm very excited about the last one, so I'll put this one first. Argentina versus Wales, 30-12 in favor of Wales.
I think it was expected. Despite, but what is becoming very evident with these tour Wales have in Argentina is that there clearly is some depth, because Warren Gatland has left a couple of big names, and they're still being able to come up with some big results. So congratulations to Wales, and it shows that they have a decent pool of players. So the last one, before we move on to the World Under-20 Championships, is South Africa versus England. South Africa just edging them
Again, 23-12 to South Africa.
To South Africa, yes, and again South Africa coming from behind. Early try from Mike Brown, who was having a decent tournament, by the way, in South Africa. But South Africa coming back, Heinrich Pollard landing a 60-meter penalty, and again Heinrich Pollard having a very good game, bringing his backs into the game. The forwards also had a fantastic game. Tenda Ntarira, Duen from Ulen at number 8 had an excellent game. So South Africa showing that they're back, and showing that Rassie Erasmus showing that look, South Africa still has some quality. I always thought that after the golden days of South Africa, the Victor Matfields, John Smith, Brian Habana, Jean de Villiers, who was interviewed on the Three Quarters podcast. I always thought that they were going to lack in depth, but South Africa showing that they do have the quality of players to mount a challenge. Yep,
and well done to Tenda Ntarira. That was his 100th, I think, test match?
Yes, it was.
So on to the World Under-20 Championships.
Yeah.
We've got the finals. They'll be played later on today.
Yeah.
And that will be France versus England.
Yes. So the host nation getting a bath in the finals, having beaten New Zealand in the semi-finals, England beating South Africa. So funny thing is that when I had a conversation with Murray Rolston, assistant coach at Kenya, he actually did tell me that don't be shocked if rugby in New Zealand is on the decline. And I think this is
it's the
showing.
beginning.
It's the beginning. It is the beginning. So our final is going to be England versus France, which I think should be a very entertaining game.
Yep. Yeah. Now, what do we need to do? I mean, in terms of Kenya, basically, to get to those levels, I feel that an elite program needs to be established in the sense that it needs to start when kids are young in high school. Scouting. I know we do that, but a program for the national team, and also just look at things like diet. I mean, these guys start from when they're really young. You're into other club schools, countries, basically. Start them eating the right things, doing the right type of conditioning. I mean, if you imagine like a child in a normal 844 school in Kenya, what are they eating?
Crap. A lot of money needs to go into the under-20 game. I think Paul Odera is doing a good game, but he's doing a good thing, but he just doesn't have the support. And when people start making excuses like changaring for boots, that's where the problem comes in. So I think a lot of money needs to come in to the under-20 game for us to get to the point where we then are competing with the top nations. Guys, give us your feedback. Remember, you can do this by following us on Instagram, liking our page on Facebook, and subscribing to our YouTube channel. I'm Denima Duffy. And I'm Naroka Muya.
Stay tuned for the World Cup segment.